Comedy Film Nerds Podcast.
Yeah, let's do visual effects. Now we have Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and War for the Planet of the Apes. Here's the first thing that struck me about this category, is that these are all effects that are already in libraries. Like, there's no new visual effect. Like, these are all either sequels or reboots. So it wasn't like there was something incredibly new that was created, like, visually for these.
And I might be wrong about this, but I think War of the Planet of the Apes is the first time this new series of Apes movies has gotten Academy recognition.
Aaron, can you look that up?
Sure. I think so. So like that's interesting to me. Like that makes me think, oh, maybe finally they'll give it something because
they're amazing.
Because every year that one of these comes out, there's all this talk about why doesn't Andy Serkis get a nomination just because it's a motion capture performance, and why are these movies so? I mean, is it even? It's not even nominated for anything else, right? That's the only nomination it has. And as far as new things go, the fact that so many of the characters are completely CGI and that like Woody Harrelson's the only live person there, or one of the few, makes it closer to new. But I like the effects in all these movies. But
hold on a sec, Aaron.
All three have been nominated for visual effects.
For visual effects, yes. And that's their only category. Did it win in the previous two times?
No.
Okay. So, yes, they might, kind of like with the third Lord of the Rings is when it finally started winning awards.
Right.
So there's a chance there. But also...
That always happens with trilogies. They're like, well, we don't have to nominate this one. There's another one coming next year.
Yeah. But I think also people just think they're smart and classy for liking Blade Runner 2049.
Right.
Yeah, they're just going to go, oh, it didn't do well at the box office, but it was that thing. I'll say, like... I like the visual effects in all these movies. They all were impressive to me. But as Chris said, like, it's all stuff we've seen. There was nothing like, wow, I've never seen that before. Like the first Planet of the Apes movie and the last one were really impressive. So this one was just equally as impressive. I kind of would go with, my thinking is, I think I'm going to split on this. I think War for the Planet of the Apes will win because of what they're going to finally give it a nod on the third one. And finally, this is the best tip of the hat they'll ever give Andy Serkis. I think Guardians of the Galaxy should win just because the space special effects that they did, that going to that crazy Kurt Russell planet, I thought that was
There's a lot going on in that movie. The sequence where Yondu's
especially the end, it was
magical. The scene where his arrow kills all those dudes, and the way from so many different angles you see that thing shooting around. Amazing sequence. Like it is front to back a visual
and we did
treat.
See that in the first.
Which I was a little sad that Thor Ragnarok didn't really register for any of these tech categories, because I thought it was pretty cool looking and had great stuff in it. But I think I could agree with Graham. I like that split of should Guardians but will War.
I'm also going to split, but I'm going to do War for the Planet of the Apes should, because I think it had some amazing effects, especially all the motion capture. But I think Blade Runner will win because of what you had said, the prestige of like, well, it didn't do well at the box office. It's not nominated for anything else. Let's give it
is nominated for three other things. So. And we're going to get to one that I think it's definitely going to win.
I meant in the big ones, in the Best Picture Director.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. So Mancini goes, he splits Blade Runner will with a War for the Planet of the Apes should. Graham and Doug, Guardians should, War will. Those are my headlines.
Film editing is a tough one, because at least three of these are movies that are almost kind of about the editing. But go ahead.
This is film editing. We have Baby Driver, Dunkirk, I, Tonya, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I think the only two movies that actually stand out for wow, that was great editing are Baby Driver and Dunkirk, in my opinion. And I got to give it to Dunkirk just because I was so blown away by that film, and there's so little dialogue in this movie, and yet I was on the edge of my seat. I know some people are like, "Oh, nothing happens." I was on the edge of my seat, and to me, one of the reasons I was on the edge of my seat
because of the editing.
was because of the editing, for sure. So
I would have liked to seen them edit together Dunkirk and The Darkest Hour, because in Darkest Hour there's not enough battle stuff, and in Dunkirk there's not enough discussing what the fuck is happening.
well, that's the thing.
You know
It's
what I
a
mean?
box set,
Or
Doug.
watch them. Oh, I mean, back to back. I think they're
You
both
could do like
very well made.
A Godfather 1 and 2 where they combine them.
Like a New
something like that.
Beverly, double bill.
That's
kind
when
of
I
thing.
after I saw Darkest Hour. That's exactly what I said. I said Dunkirk is the companion piece to.
Yeah, I mean, they really make each of them better, like thinking about the other. Because like I saw Darkest Hour second, and the whole time I was watching it, I was going, I know what they're talking about with this shit about let's get these private citizens to bring their boats.
Because I just saw Dunkirk.
And in Dunkirk it worked, and here they are backing it up and saying that it worked in, in this movie where from the perspective of the people that made the plan.
And when they're just like, well, we just have to sacrifice these soldiers, you're like, yeah, I remember seeing them on the beach, like terrified, going, get me the fuck out of here.
And so many of them. And there were so many people telling Churchill, let's just cut our losses and not send more in. And it's like, what? But there's so many we could save. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. I, Tanya is like part of why I think it's part of the awards conversation is kind of how slick it is and how it's kind of almost like Scorsese kind of, or Paul Thomas Anderson kind of direction with a lot of camera movement, a lot of weird, people turning to the camera and speaking right into it.
was
Both people's perspective.
It's very stylish.
That's
Breaking
that's
the
not
fourth
how it
wall.
happened.
Yeah.
And then you see the other person.
Yeah, like a Rashomon kind of thing.
Right.
So the editing is a big thing for I, Tanya, and then Shape of Water and Three Billboards are just good movies with good editing.
But
the editing doesn't stand
it doesn't
out
stand
as a
out
thing,
in those movies, right?
But
I
also
agree.
both of those movies are in line for potential sweepage.
Right.
So that's where you get into trouble, is where they just fucking hand it out all down the line to the same movies. But I think Dunkirk or Baby Driver is going to win it just because those movies are editing is their thing.
What can I commit you to,
Those
Doug
movies
Benson?
were conceived as these movies are going to
Yes.
be edited
Right.
this way.
Right.
And
That was part of the whole scope, the whole vision of
Yeah.
both those movies was we need to cut this. The editing is really crucial.
So like in a weird sort of way, the editors, should share the award. I mean, they always should, but in this case, they really should share it with Nolan and Edgar Wright because they just laid out these things so beautifully in the first place. So, but I'm gonna go. I think Dunkirk will win, but I like Baby Drivers should win.
Doug with a should baby and a will done.
I'm not feeling the Baby Driver love on this one, on the editing category. I thought it was decently edited, but it didn't stand out for me. I thought Dunkirk, the editing and just the way the timelines were put together and were, like Doug was saying, it's like the editing, when they were visualizing this movie, the editing was like an integral part of it. Like you can't have this movie without superior editing. So I'm going to go should and will for Dunkirk.
Shot first, kitten heads across the land.